All right, we're back for another edition of the Three Stooges podcast. But unless we're, idiot dunce math majors, there's only two of us today. Chris Jackson, West Coast Preps, Joe Davidson here from Sacramento B. The bearded wonder Jordan of Gold Country Media is en route somewhere to the Midwest just because he feels like it and he has those means just to get away. Maybe a family function, I'm not sure. So we'll try to carry the load and. We will honor Jordan next week because he won a couple of awards. I was part of a winning team as well, CNPA, so we could break all of that down next week. He had a nice human interest story. I did a story where on concussions and the seriousness of it and how high schools are dialing down. Good podcast topic, but away we go. But Chris Jackson, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. High school Sac-Joaquin Section baseball championships are this week. Softball championships are this weekend at Sacramento State and I think Simmons River College. We'll talk about that. And then we also have some coaching news, a big name coach out, a big name coach back into business. We'll touch on that. But why don't is there anything else percolating in your considerable brain there, Chris Jackson, that we should touch on before we forget?
No, I'm just fired up. I think we had two great games. I guess three in the section actually, right? The D7 baseball final was great. The D6 baseball final came down to I think bases loaded, Bear River Woodland Christian, and then the game I was at in softball, Oak Ridge keeping its three-peat dreams alive. You could not script a better start to championship week in the Sac-Joaquin section than this.
I think it's great. But there is one thing that concerns you, and it's something we've seen for years. There are some coaches, assistant coaches, who really get on opposing players. They'll try to razz them. Some of it seems a little poor taste, or they're all over the umpires. This is nothing new. This is what we see in society all across America. But you've seen some incidents that just kind of turn your stomach.
Yeah, we can't be saying as adults and saying to a kid that he's undraftable, this or that. You're a grown man, a grown woman, and that is a 17, 18-year-old kid that's handling himself with class.
While he's pitching.
Yeah. I mean, every kid, I don't mind kids chirping with each other. They're kids, they're teenagers, they're playing ball, right? That's totally fine. It's in good nature, good fun. They smile with each other, laugh, shake hands, hug, all that stuff after. But adults should not be doing that to kids, right? There's a line that shouldn't be crossed. Whether that's fans too, I hear it from fans as well. Coaches, I've seen it too. Why we're saying that to teenagers, kids that have their whole lives in front of them or actually have high character, great players, a great future. Why we're trying to downgrade them, this and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then sometimes after losses, blaming umpires way too much and still being fired up about that 30 minutes later when sometimes, yes, they do make mistakes, they make bad calls, but I could point out some recent games, about five or six different instances where that game was won or lost, and not because of one call. There could be certain decisions where you took out a pitcher when you really shouldn't have in that moment, right? Or you should have taken him out earlier, but you left them in. Strategy plays a big part, right? And there's accountability is the biggest thing, and we've as adults as well need to take accountability and show kids what accountability looks like. Not everything's going to go your way. That's just life. It's not always fair, but it's a great learning lesson when you're 17, 18 years old that, hey, sometimes it's not fair, but it's how you respond and how you bounce back up that says everything.
Well, and coaches shouldn't be belittling. They're supposed to be role models. That's a no-brainer. That seems to go without saying, but we'll say it anyways. Got to act the part, and these coaches are on year to year at will contracts. They could be cut loose, and some of that stipulation is conduct and behavior. And if you're representing your school, and it's not specific to, I mean, we have incidents in Sacramento and Yolo County and Placer County, and it's not cool. It's a bad look. It's a little league mentality. It's been around forever. You think about the ejection policy now in high school sports. It used to be if you got ejected from a game, basketball game, football, if you're a coach or player, it was one game sit out. And that seemed to curb it. And I remember that was introduced some 30 years ago. Now it's up to 3 to 6 games. And so that really helps curb it, or we hope, because you just can't have that kind of behavior. I mean, your high school kid, act like adults, act like coaches and mentors, and players act like leaders on your campus. But keep it clean. Keep it clean. We talk about Laney Fukaka, the fantastic story from Kennedy High School, the Sacramento City Unified School District varsity baseball player, and she is a girl, and she's taking her curveball to Emerson University Division III school in Boston to play. She's in the Optimist All-Star game in a couple of weeks, so that's cool. But she has endured a lot of wrath and heat and criticism. And her best comeback, Chris Jackson, was, I don't take anything serious from a heckle who I wouldn't take advice from. So there you go. So kudos to Laney. Boo, double thumbs up on anybody who's ignoring the pursuing victory with honor with boorish behavior. So that's our rant.
Yeah, focus on your own kid, focus on your own team, your own stuff, and don't take it out on other kids that where a lot of them this is their last go around, right? With 7% go to the next level. Just enjoy it. You only get these moments once. And if you're a coach getting mad at your kids chirping, well, you better not be doing the one. You better not be chirping yourself, or else that message just falls flat and on deaf ears. And I've seen that one too many times at different spots over these last few years where as adults, we've got to set a better example, right? Or else how can we expect kids, teenagers to be those role models, show great examples if we ourselves can't act appropriately?
Right. And Chris, people are watching, people are listening, people are there. It's just a bad look. All right. So some high school football news. There's always high school football. It's a year-round deal. At Inderkum High School, the Natomas Unified School District in Sacramento, Reggie Harris, been there for a few years, big name in this area, spirited, intense. Known him for years, was the top assistant coach, defensive coordinator for the Grant Pacers, doing some great championship seasons under Coach Mike Albergini, including their famed 2006 2008 State Open Division Championship win over Long Beach Poly. Well, Reggie Harris is on administrative leave at the high school as a physical education teacher. This is not tied to football um, problems, parents or anything like that. He apparently got into an intense exchange with a student in PE, and it's not criminal, but this uh, I don't know how this is gonna turn out for Reggie Harris. I like the guy. I've known him for years. Just great passion. Does great things for kids. And he's intense, and that's what makes him a good coach. But I think sometimes it gets him a little bit of hot water, like here. And then we have Terry Stark, who really created the Inderkum football team. Was coached there for 15 years, from 2005 through 2019. 230 game winner, not all there. Also coached at Miraloma, his alma mater. Also coached at Natomas. And Terry Stark, 230 game winner. Chris Jackson is now leading the Marysville Indians, small school program that's had some ups and downs, had some really good teams under Coach Cullen Meyer. I think it's a fantastic hire. He says he's told me over the years, I don't golf, I don't fish, I don't hunt. I am a football coach. And so he's been out for a few years. His son had some physical ailments that he wanted to tend to. He runs the wing T, which is the misdirection, kind of deception, backfield action. The Placer Hellman still run that up in Placer County in Auburn. But it was the big craze in the 80s and 90s, and Terry Stark is loyal to what he does. I think that's a great hire for the Marysville Indians, and kudos for Coach Terry Stark for being back in the saddle.
Yeah, this should be something that helps keeps more kids staying home, right? Just there were a couple of kids in Marysville recently that transferred out. A couple of them look like they're going to be key contributors in nearby Wheatland. That's really kind of had a renaissance of its own, right? Under Andy Fatt, the graduate there, his staff going to that league championship, winning that league championship after a winless season just 2 years prior, right? But maybe they can keep some of these kids back because they've had athletes, right? They've had Caleb Hill, who's I saw him have two interceptions in one game last year. He's now at Wheatland, though. You had Jalen Brown's now at Wheatland, but this should help Marysville, especially a great coach like that, a guy with his experience, his expertise, what he did at Inderkum. You had a kind of great statistics in your story as well about just what he's done in his time there, right? 159 and 29, 12 league titles, four championship appearances in the section, 24 playoff wins. And think of who Inderkum plays in the postseason as well. Their divisional matchups, everything else. They've given Folsom a run for their money in the playoffs. They did, it was that 2023 where I believe they were up 27-20 before they fell by seven. But this should be a name, a guy, a leader that parents want their kids to play for, something that should kind of rejuvenate the community, youth football, everything else out there. And kind of get Marysville football back to where it wants to be.
I think it's great. And his right-hand guy through all those Inderkum Tigers years, Todd Hamasaki, is going to coach with him. Coaches will always say, Chris Jackson, we've heard this for years, you're as good as your coaching staff. So a little background on Terry Stork. I aged him because I said about 50 years ago, he was a dazzling quarterback for the Miraloma Matadors, who were the football power in this region, or one of them, with the Cordova Lancers, Placer Hillman, among others. But Miraloma was a juggernaut in the 70s and into the mid 80s. We can't comprehend that now, and I think they're down to the point where they may have to play eight-man football just to stay afloat. But he has always kept that offense. And in the 1990s, when Miraloma was producing all kinds of football coaches, including Mike Albergini, who went to Grant and area's all-time winning coach with 282 victories, the late great Mike Albergini, rest in peace. He came from there. Dave Humphers came from Miraloma, and so did Randy Blankenship, and they coached Nevada Union High School up in Grass Valley in the 90s and really kickstarted a dynasty. When they had 3,000 students, they ran the wing T, and then everybody was running the wing T. And then it stopped, and it became the spread formation. Urban Meyer really kind of kicked that off nationally when he was doing it at Bowling Green and Utah and Florida. So it's interesting how that works. And you think about loyal coaches to their offense. De La Salle runs the veer. So does T.J. Ewing at Monterey Trail and Oak Grove Unified. So does Jesuit under Marlon Blanton, a former De La Salle star running back. So some coaches, Chris Jackson, they're going to stick with their offense. And this is who and what they are. And here's a perfect example. And the Grand Pacers never ran that. They always ran set, and Mike Albergini was the one who helped explode the wing T. They had some of these epic battles with Nevada Union in 1990s, where he would have his best linebacker blow up the imaginary X spot in the backfield where all the handoffs or fake handoffs would happen. So interesting, but kudos to Terry Stark coming back. Good to have good guys like that, and we'll keep a tabs on Reggie Harris. I have reached out to him a couple of times, phone calls, texts I've not heard. And so Justin Reber is the acting coach. He's a familiar name around here. He's been a head coach. He's been the assistant coach, offensive coordinator the last couple of years, also athletic directors at Inderkum, excellent football coach. And he's been supervising spring drills. So there is some stability there.
Yeah, Justin Reber's had a history of success. Sacramento High, you go down there, you see his name, Inderkum, his name there, Inderkum Athletics, a lot of sports as well are thriving, succeeding, basketball, football, everything else. And what he does, he's a guy, Reggie Harris in a lot of ways, right? Demands discipline, excellence, execution, old school kind of type in a lot of ways, but that's going to keep this thing kind of rolling there at Inderkum. And it's interesting to see how it kind of shakes out, especially these next few weeks, these next few months over there at Inderkum High School, because they've got a lot of talent once again rolling through that program.
It is a sleeping giant, big enrollment, a lot of athletes, just not a community. It's not a town, so they don't always get great crowds. They sure did in basketball. So they had some good things there. All right, let's take a look at the baseball playoffs. The Sac-Joaquin Section Division One championship is Friday night at Sacramento City College, 6 p.m. The St. Mary's Rams of Stockton, the West Coast Prep top-ranked team in Sacramento in the Sac-Joaquin Section, taking on the Franklin Wildcats of Elk Grove. Both of these teams are familiar with being in a big stage. Excellent coaching, star power, good pitchers, guys going on the next level. This is a one-game take-all in Northern California. We now have the Northern California Championships that starts next week. The finalists for all the sections, I think in divisions 1, 2, and 3, the section finals, so we'll go to the NorCals, no state finals, just a NorCal championship, single elimination, but the lower divisions, only the section champion advances. So Chris Jackson, size up St. Mary's, Franklin, Division One championship, Friday night, Sacramento City College.
You open it up perfectly. Great coaching. Brian Kilby at Franklin, one of just the class acts, the gems. His brother pitched in the big leagues as well with the A's, but a tremendous coach, a tremendous leader. Franklin won the section 2 years ago. They gave that, I think, nationally ranked De La Salle team a run for its money, that NorCal playoff game back when Nolan Stevens was at Franklin. Now he's at Mississippi State, and it's same old Franklin. You've got Dylan Wood, the ace, the star, the prospect. There was mid-90s. He's got 96 strikeouts and 55 in the third innings. He's 8-0, a 1.39 ERA. And they've got talent everywhere. Their bats, Dylan Menzies and LSU committed first. I think that's another kid that's going to get pro looks, especially next year, his senior year. Jason Harris, the shortstop, going to Cal, and to have a guy like Chance Moore really step up in their semifinal series against Rockland in game two, delivered that go-ahead triple that kind of vaulted them to that win in that sweep. He was a kid that they were thinking before that at bat, I want to say in the fourth inning, they were thinking of pinch hitting for the kid, but Kilby and his staff a good feel for the game, good instincts, right? That's what makes them some of the best. They're like, hey, he's a senior. We think he's going to step up in this moment. You know what? He delivered. And now he's a kid that's oozing with confidence. And you add that onto a pitching staff that's got a Dylan Wood, a Kyle Pott, who's a UC Santa Barbara commit, and the bats, the speed, everything else. And there's a freshman catcher there, Brandon Williams, who looks every bit like a Division I player, too. He's got a strong bat, a strong arm, everything else. When you look at him, you're going to think this kid's a senior in college by his size and everything else. And now he's a freaking freshman in high school. So there's a lot riding through. But now you've got St. Mary's, the defending champs of this section, our number one ranked team in NorCal, state ranked like everything else. And they've got aces of their own. Nico Bavaro, a junior lefty, going to UCLA. Tanner Grill, the first baseman, a Cal-bound pitcher hitter who can do it all. They've got the talent. You look at the left side of the infield, it's as good as any that I've seen. Brady Ericard at shortstop going to Cal. You've got Dax Hardcastle, Mississippi State commit, that junior class at third base. I think he's another kid next year, like the Dylan Menzies I mentioned, that's going to get pro looks. But those are two kids who defensively are as elite as it gets. And when they played Corona, actually gave that nationally ranked, I think national number one Corona with 3 first rounders, maybe a fourth, a run for their money. It was one play that really cost them the game, but Corona's got a first round shortstop. And the belief out of that was Brady Ericart, that Cal-bound shortstop from St. Mary's, is better defensively than that kid. So that goes to say a lot. And St. Mary's is not just a place that's going to be blowing smoke into your ears out of the water. They are a program that earns that belief, earns that confidence. The defending champs are the defending champs until they're knocked off. But this is a championship, a pitching matchup. I think a lot of people are going to want to watch, especially on a Friday night. So if you're free on Friday, go. If you're not free on Friday, well, you know what? Change your freaking plans. Change those little family
That's
dinners,
ex
those dates, and you
that's
know, get
exactly
mad.
right.
Who cares if they get mad? Go to Sac City.
Or bring him to Sac City. It's a great venue. It's one of the premier junior college venues in California. It's got the great lights. There's one game every night out there. I mean, you and I talked about this many times, Chris, but the best value and entertainment in Sacramento is going to a high school sporting event. And a lot of it's a good ticket and all those things. And other thing. So Mike Cody is the athletic director for the Franklin Wildcats, assistant coach. He was the founding coach for the baseball program. Has been a long time assistant now under Coach Kilby. And he has a son, Tyler Cody, who's a good hitter, good pitcher, also a terrific scholar. Just got an honor from the Sac-Joaquin Section for his academic excellence. So that always makes the fathers and the coaches who double up on that super proud, and he's got outrageous grades, like a 4.5 GPA. It's just something like he's showing off. Okay, we're already impressed. Now you got the great GPA. So there's those stories within the stories, and I think Coach Cody coached his son when he was growing up and all that. So it's just a thrill for them for sure. All right, Division Two. On the 22nd, which is tomorrow, the Del Oro Golden Eagles of Loomis and Placer County taking on the Lodi Flames at Islander Field in Lathrop. It's a great state-of-the-art facility, 6 p.m. We know about Del Oro. We talked about it. They have 9 forfeits. They did not win their appeal. Some kind of paperwork snafu, digital, electronic, whatever. But they've been playing motivated, and they want to win this thing. So we know about them. Mason Belding's a standout catcher. But before you touch on Del Oro, Chris Jackson, what is up with the Lodi Flames? What to expect from this team, and what are they about? They're the sixth seed, so they've earned it coming through, including beating El Grove in the playoffs, and Rodriguez, which had eliminated Whitney. So, what do you think about the Lodi Flames, sir?
We just mentioned the St. Mary's Rams of Stockton. Well, Lodi beat St. Mary's at one point in the regular season. Yes, St. Mary's did take 2 out of 3, but to take one from St. Mary's and force a winner take all game 3 in that regular season finale, that Lodi did Goes to show you. They go from that to then beating Elk Grove 7-0 about a week later in those section playoffs to then a 3-game series win of Rodriguez. And what do we always mention in the playoffs? Who's got the best arms? Well, Lodi's got a lot of good freaking arms. You've got, and both of these kids can really hit too. Landon Beasley, a star hitter, also 10-1 with a 0.91 ERA. Andrew Fickner, a 1.95 ERA, a heck of a hitter. They've been doing really well. They've been shoving, throwing well. Lodi's well coached, talented. They've played a great schedule. And when you've beat teams like St. Mary's and Elk Grove, there's not a single foe that's going to phase you, probably be better than you at this point, right? Lodi has been a top 10 team by us at various points of the season. I believe they are top 10 again, and for good reason. So this is a team I know that Del Oro, Jordan Whitmore, the head coach, I know those are guys that have respect for Lodi and know, quite frankly, like, heck, we better bring our freaking A+ game or else Lodi is going to be the team holding that blue banner and not us. But should be a great crowd from Lodi, you would think, too, with this game being in Lathrop at Islanders Park. Like you said, a beautiful facility, a beautiful new neighborhood, too.
Right.
If you drive back there, River Islands High School, you're going to be amazed. The middle school over there looks like a college. The high school looks like a college. So all I'm saying is if you want to have a nice night, Lathrop's a pretty good place to be,
Go
too.
down there. I have yet to go to that baseball venue, but I want to check it out. So that's really cool. And back to the other great venue, Sacramento City College has a championship game tonight, Section Division 3, 6 p.m. Central Catholic of Modesto just came off a great spirited elimination of Oakmont, the Vikings of Roseville, who expected to win another championship at the section level. And at the NorCal level didn't happen. So Central Catholic is there taking on storied Yuba City, the third seed. The Hunkers have been around for decades, a lot of championships, guys in the big leagues and all that. But size up Chris Jackson, Central Catholic, what they're about, and also from Yuba City, which got here by eliminating West Park in the semifinals. And this looks like it could be another good one.
You're going to love watching the chess match of these two coaches. Maury Castaneda of Yuba City is one of the great guys in the business, a great man, everything else. He will strategically, surgically remove everything that you game plan for, right? That's what he is. And he's got the arms. Again, Brandon Pelichowicz is over a 500 hitter and ace. They've got who they call their number 1.5 pitcher, Ashton Decker. Not even their two guy, they're 1.5. He's that good. They threw him in game one last week when they, quite frankly, dominated West Park in that 2-game series sweep. They've got the arms, the bats, too, and great coaching staff. But let's go to Central Catholic. Danny Ayala, he's a coach that's had this team make runs before. Last year, section championship game, NorCal championship game the year before, won a NorCal final. Caden McHenry, a star pitcher, a star hitter at first base, who really kind of came onto the scene in last year's playoff run, which was pretty amazing because when he was a sophomore last year coming on that playoff run, just before that, he had been sent down to JV middle of the season to get his confidence back, get some more reps, development. He came back in a fury, and he looks like a kid that I think this summer is going to commit somewhere. But that's another team that's going to strategically just defeat you. They threw a kid in game one at Oakmont last week, Kane Walker, who had made one varsity start before that game. He threw 5 2/3, just tremendous innings. His catcher, Jacob Kiesel, has 4 extra base hits in the last 3 games of these playoffs. That is another kid that he's a second-year catcher after moving in from the infield. They needed someone to be a catcher at the JV level. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll take that role. And I always, quite frankly, someone I would say is one of the better catchers in Northern California. So this is a team that's gonna advance runners. They've got some power, and Broden Thomas is a kid as well with all the power numbers in the world. I think I've seen like 3 other games. I think he's got 2 home runs when I see them, but he has 9 doubles, 5 home runs, and that you just leave anything in the zone. I think that kid's gonna rocket that thing out
Rake it.
as far as Chase Bentley
Yeah.
from Granite Bay. I think he hit the shed 50 feet beyond the fence. This is a kid that can do that too.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And all right, in the Section Division 4 Championship, Sacramento City College, 6 p.m. Top seeded Bradshaw Christian of Sacramento, the Pride, great mascot, looking to win another section championship, also looking to win another, excuse me, another NorCal and the Roseville Tigers. So that game's tonight, Division 5 championships as we zip through all of these. top-seeded Lincoln Zebras and Landon Plot taking on the number two Houston Huskies on uh, that is tonight at Chris. I think that's at Islander Field, correct? The
Yep, it'll be
division.
at Islanders Field there at 6 p.m. I will be down there, and I will have my good friends, partner, everything. Greg will be covering that game up at Sac City for Yuba City against Central Catholic.
Excellent. And then in Division Six, this has already happened. Second seeded Woodland Christian defends its championship, beats the top seeded Bear River Bruins 5-1. So another championship for Woodland Christian. They'll advance. The Cardinals will of Yolo County would advance the NorCals, and Bear River is eliminated. The lower divisions do not send the runner up to the NorCal round. And then in Division 7, as I'm pouring through the Sac-Joaquin Section site, number two seeded Vacaville Christian 13-2 all over Turlock Christian, the top seed. So Vacaville Christian will advance. And let's get to softball. Why don't you size up what's happening in Division One? I do know that the section championship will be back at Sacramento State on Saturday at 4 p.m. And it's two rivals, two programs that know each other, same league and everything. Who we got?
You've got Oak Ridge against Del Oro in that Division One championship. They've met twice. They've split that series. Oak Ridge, the two-time defending champs, are back in that championship. But what a crazy game that was that I'll into in a second for them to beat Tracy in the semifinal. And Del Oro has 45 home runs, Abby Davidson, 14 of those. They've got two elite pitchers, Ava Messina, whose father was actually the great head coach at Oakmont these past couple of years, Jake. And then you've got Michaela Finn, the sophomore
It's
lefty.
That's exactly right. Did a great job as the Oakmont football coach. They went from 0-10 to the cusp of winning a league championship, getting in the playoffs for the first time in many years, hosting the playoff game for the first time in many years. And he had, I think, 18 starters came back. That's impressive as we veer into football because it's always football season. That many guys came back because they believed in him, and it paid off. Bo Ogles was the quarterback star, also played in baseball. But anyways, back to top seeded Del Oro, a ton of home runs. Davidson's no relation to me except in power and in clout. So kudos to that, the Oak Ridge Trojans. So Oak Ridge doesn't have both of its pitchers. Injury to one of them earlier this season. They're here in the final though, and so this is. This is a good. Who do you like? Who's winning this one?
I think you could flip this coin about 85 times, 86 times, and I think 43 of those times. I'm just throwing out random numbers, but 50% of the time it's going to land on Oak Ridge, 50% of the time Del Oro. I love Oak Ridge's experience in this moment. Ellison Schroeder's thrown in this stage before. Santa Clara signee. Her and the catcher Carmen Montez de Oca, NC State commit, are been best friends. She's been catching for her since she was 9 years old, and I think I'm gonna pick Oak Ridge. I haven't made those predictions on the site yet, but I think I'm gonna go by Oak Ridge. They just have this destiny
I'll go
feeling.
with Del Oro just to
I love
balance
it.
it out a little
And you
bit.
know what? That's a good freaking pick too. If I Del Oro make me look like an idiot on Saturday and you can let me hear it, I am all fine with that. I think I'm probably ridiculous to pick against you, but Ellison Schroeder in this moment, I love what they've got. And what a win they had over Tracy. They went down 3-2 in the sixth inning because Tracy's sophomore star, Hayden Fell, hit her 14th home run of the year to go ahead. Oak Ridge down to its last three outs in the bottom of the seventh. Scores twice. Gemma Almont, the sophomore, her older sister is actually playing in the College World Series in Southern Oregon. She gets the walk-off sacrifice fly to win that game, keep that season alive, keep those three-peat dreams alive. But I always love experience on this stage, and Oak Ridge has that in abundance. 14 players on the roster, five of them already Division One commits, and they've got a few more that'll be committing sometime in the near future.
About that. And speaking of the Sierra Foothill League, how about two more teams? Division Two championship is Saturday at Sacramento State, 1 p.m. So that'll be the doubleheader. That'll be the first game of the doubleheader with the Oak Ridge Del Oro game following up. And at the top spot and the number two seeded big chief rival, Whitney Wildcats. How about the Sierra Foothill League? The top seeds and the teams that are still left standing in Section Division One, Two are all from that league, and it's paid off. But who do you like in this game? Rockland should probably, as a top seed, might be considered the favorite, but Whitney's got some championship experience, and man, this is high level softball here too.
Yeah, Rockland swept it Whitney this year. The last time they faced want to say it was what, if you're going back to it, it was literally just 2 weeks ago on May 7th when Rockland won a 14-3 ball game. Since then, it's been a 22-0 win over Golden Valley, 10-0 over Inderkum. Beat Vacaville on a walk-off from Katie Wetterland, who's going to Nevada in the fall. She hit that walk-off. She missed 2 years with injury. Now she is back leading Rockland to a section final. They're the defending champs in this division. Peyton Pryor is a stud of a pitcher who can hit too. I love what Whitney's got. Taylor Cordell's been just twirling it on the mound. 10 strikeouts in a complete game in that semifinals win over Wood Creek. Tylee Kitchen just launched his home runs, 7 home runs this year. She is a basketball star who had 21 rebounds in a playoff game. She is a San Diego State softball signee, but Rockland's won this matchup twice. They won this championship last year. My pick, Rockland Thunder go back to back.
Yeah, like I said, it makes sense. And if people are wondering where they could find more information, check out West Coast Preps, check out the Sacramento Bee, but also check the Sac-Joaquin CIF SJS.org Facebook, not Facebook, but internet page. They get all the brackets, all the ticket information, schedules, and all that. All right, Section Division Three Softball Championship is top-seeded Central Catholic of Modesto taking on the Vanden Vikings. That's a 1 versus 2. That's at Casumas River College on Saturday at 4 p.m. That's a nice venue down there. Division Four, we have Destiny Christian Academy, formerly Capital Christian, taking on Pioneer. We know the star power of Destiny Christian. Just Latua, what she's done, she's an all-time great player already, and she's only a junior, and she's been a two-time B Player of the Year, taking on the Pioneer Patriots of Yolo County. They're from Woodland. That is on Saturday, 10 a.m. at Sacramento State. So it'll be an actual triple header at division, for those games. At Sacramento State. Division 5 section championship is the Liberty Ranch Hawks taking on Calaveras. That is on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Casumas River College. Good programs there. And then we have in Division, as it slowly calls up, in Division 6 at Casumas River College, 10 a.m. Top-seeded Argonaut, the Mustangs, against number 2 LeGrand. And their mascot is...
Their mascot is, what is their mascot?
They are the Bulldogs. I had to look it up. See, I thought you knew that right off the top of your
Oh,
head.
there's too many mascots out there. I can tell you every school name, player name, but the mascots, that's a little too difficult.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Division 7, and Denair's only been there for 700 years. Division 7, Forest Hill of Placer County, the top seed, beat number 2 Denair 7-6 to win the section Division 7 championship. So, man, softball, baseball, it's here, there, everywhere. We have Sierra College baseball is in the state championships. Terrific job by that coaching staff. Again, all kinds of local players. Jordan Georgeson, who's not here with us today, he's on a family outing in the Midwest, or maybe he's just at home throwing, you know, tomatoes at his screen, saying these guys are idiots.
That
We're
sounds like something
dunces.
you would do.
We're stooges. We're not idiots. We're stooges. We're stiffs of stooges. But so Sierra College had to beat top ranked in the state, Santa Rosa, which was 43-1, had to beat them twice in elimination games in a tournament. So good stuff for the junior college baseball. Talked last week, Chris Jackson, about Sacramento State with its new basketball venue coming along, the Well, a pavilion. It's a great new era for Division I basketball here. Same with what's going on with football there, and we'll see. As we close out, sir, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to drop?
Let me just mention the championship finals for this Saturday as well. It's not going to be divisions 1, 2, and 3 at Sacramento State. They're flipping 3 and 4. So 3 is going to be at Casumas River because the top seed Central Catholic, if you just look at logistics, Casumas River about 25 minutes shorter of a drive, make them go to Casumas River instead of Sac State. So then D4 will actually be at Sac State with Destiny Christian against Pioneer, which is a game I think you want to see because Destiny Christian's got a Purdue commit and LSU commit on the mound. You've got Pioneer has got a girl Gia Beebe who's tossed every inning, a freaking Stanford and at shortstop Marissa Bryson, Sophia Hernandez going to Cornell, and an abundance of others. So if you are into sports at any level, I would say that's going to be a heck of a triple header to go to.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll be out there for those days. I'm gonna be at Sacramento City College. not tonight, but I will be there Thursday night to see Bradshaw Christian take on Roseville Division 4, and then Friday the section Division 1 heavyweights, Franklin Wildcats of Elk Grove versus St. Mary's Rams, the defending champs from Stockton. That's on Friday, and then all the games at Cosumnes River College and Sac State for softball. Section does a nice job of not putting the softball on the same championship day. And so that's good. There's no rain forecast. We actually have some nice weather this weekend, so we're looking forward to that. Chris Jackson, always good for our friend who's traveling right now. Jordan Georgeson, we honor you and celebrate you, sir, because you were a award winner for the CNPA. That's the kind of talent that he's producing for Gold Country Media. I'm Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee. We will see you guys next week.